name is Marlena and I'm a professional potter and instructor. Somebody asked if I could do a video on the full start to finish process of planning pieces and planning what I make from a ball of clay through the whole process to finish. So I thought I would include you on the start to finish process. I do have a commission that's on a time pressure schedule. So the project that we're going to be focusing on is a sculptural mushroom, you and me. Let's get sketching. So one of the things that's the most helpful with writing it down and drawing out the process and the parts and the sections that will connect is that you think through how you're going to accomplish them, which then breaks down the steps and how you approach it. For this mushroom, I know that the stem is going to be thrown in two parts, but then the top, I'm not sure if I want to throw two parts or hand build slabs of the two parts of the under and upper side of the mushroom. I've never done it in this way before, so this is where the experimentation comes through and the different types of prototypes start to come together. That's why drawing it out first helps. So to get started, let's start with the base, which is throwing the stem. I just combined those two thrown pieces as you saw, and I didn't plan to be pulling it and stretching it up like pulling a handle, but I feel like it just was asking for it. It was just asking to be longer and more kind of, oh, there's so many leaves just blowing around. It's so beautiful. Let me show you. It was just asking to be more trunk-like, and I want to put some texture on it. So those things are not planned. There's just I feel like a lot of freedom that you have to give to the process that isn't necessarily planned, but being intentional to work on it in a timely manner, because obviously that needed to be wet in order to do that. We have the big bowl right here, and it needs to be completely round. It's pretty thick on the bottom. I left it that way so that we could carve a lot of it off. That's what we're gonna do right now. So come here. If you noticed, I was really just taking all of the scraps because it's really wet still, and just wedging them, smushing them back together, because this clay is completely reusable right now. All I need to do is wedge it back together, back with a bigger piece, and then I'm able to use this, throw with it in whatever capacity, and avoid the whole reclaim process for pieces that are still wet enough to use. This needed to be this wet in order to attach it and pull it and make the ruffles and the ridges and everything like that. However, it is going to droop a little bit because it's a bit weak on a few sides. So to counteract that, big sponges and a little bit of pressure from the bottom does the trick. You can use any kind of support. You can push it up against a wall, anything really that works. And that's why all types of things, kitchen utensils and random shit, is super useful in the pottery studio.
Running low on the borderlines, and you tell me that you're doing fine. Morning color lights the hall, pulls you right on through the door.
I did let this mushroom dry for maybe 2 weeks, maybe over, because a myth is air is the only component in clay that makes it explode, because air expands in heat, right? Well, it is a component, but the actual reason why things explode is not only because of air, but also because of moisture. So if you fire something that's too wet, the moisture will actually turn into steam and then contribute to that air bubble explosion, because the steam will then create pressure and pop. So if you don't wait long enough for your clay sculpture or whatever to dry, it will definitely have a very high likelihood of exploding rather than a teeny tiny one. Let's load her in and wish her good luck. I am so excited to get the mushroom out of the kiln. I have not looked at it. It's been done for a little bit, but I haven't had time to open it, so I do not know if it's survived. The moment of truth. I've waited to do this with you. Okay. Ooh, she survived. Oh my goodness, I am so happy she survived. Gorgeous. I'm so excited. She's almost done. When you're making something, you really have to see the end product when it's just an idea in your mind, because all throughout the process you have to keep in mind how it's going to react when it's this like finished stone, and how it's going to feel, and how it's going to change in color, and how the clay will react with the glaze. And I really did see this thing with a lot of blue and less glaze, like not all over glazed, you know, there's a lot of raw clay on it because mushrooms can be so organic and that texture is so beautiful. But now that I'm working on it, it feels and looks so much different than it did in my mind's eye. So I'm excited about it. I love seeing what it's turned into, but at the same time I also see how I need to keep doing these in order to perfect that mind's eye vision of the end piece, and I think that's going to make this part less of a struggle. But if you're a potter, do you agree with this? Is glazing kind of the worst? Is it? I mean, kind of, just a little. Okay, so I'm thinking here it's going to be a brown wiped off. And then right here, this is gonna be like a drippy light white blue going into this. And these lines will melt a little bit into that under here. Underneath, right here in the mushroom, the gills, I think they're called, they only appear and develop on a mushroom when it's dying and it needs to release spores. And I think that's so cool, because when you're at the end of your rope is when you go through the most growth, and then when you plant seeds for the future. It's such a cool metaphor, I think, for struggle and challenge, and how you can really be grateful for those challenges specifically. When it comes to the joy and the blessings and the growth that you go to, you can really thank like being at the end of your rope for that. I think that's cool. Might be the whole, I've seen these pictures of these really blue mushrooms and the whole cap is really blue, so maybe we'll do that. I did not make this, but it's called Walnut Brown. This is a Mako called Mako Shino, and I know that it blends really, really well with Walnut Brown. It also blends really well with Sand and Sea. I'm not really taking any chances on this mushroom, and I already discussed with the person that it's for what kind of theme they were looking for, and they're really into like some light blues mixed with warm browns. And I know that these work, so I'm truly not experimenting at this point with this because I just want the glaze to work out. Dipping and pouring is really, really useful for consistency in glaze thickness, and it's also definitely most efficient time-wise, but for those places that you can't even reach a brush, the pour is so essential, and this thing is very unique to glaze, so I'm really, really hoping that it works out. I know the colors I'm using do work well together, but the technique in which they're applied, I am expecting to change as I get better and as I do more of these. Another thing that is pretty difficult about glazing is that the color develops within the heat of the kiln, so you will not be able to truly tell if what you're doing is working or goes well together because the colors haven't developed yet. I'm gonna rub a lot of this off at the bottom here so that the texture shows up very well. And the top, I'm gonna wing it. Hopefully it's this very rich, deep cobalt blue. So fingers crossed. Look at my sleeve. It's cold in here though. Come on. Very fancy, huh? Oh my gosh. Once it goes in that kiln, of course you can reglaze it, but it's not going to just reglaze it to the point that it's completely new and a completely different color. I mean, it can't fully absorb glaze and it'll mix with whatever's on there, so you can save something from looking horrendous, but you can't also make it completely something new. And I just am gonna stare at this for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so. We'll see. I'll invite you to stare with me and you can telepathically let me know if you have any ideas. I really want some drips, and I spent some time thinking, going along the edge of it, and I realized that I'm being apprehensive because I love this specific mushroom. But if it does not work out or if it doesn't survive, I know that I have the capabilities to do it again. So I really need to let go of my attachment to this. And if it breaks, it breaks. We'll do another one. It's totally fine. I learned a lot from it and we'll be able to do more. And that has been so wonderful. I need to preemptively mourn the death of it now because it even isn't going to stay remotely the same. It's going to be reborn either into something beautiful and new that I had, that I'm hoping for, or reborn into something that I need to make another one to replace it. I need to follow my own advice and just let her go. Trust my instincts that I made the right decision with the colors and pop it in. I just need to freak out just a little bit. Just a little bit of freak out is healthy. I put a stand at the bottom and a little cookie so that it doesn't stick to the bottom of the kiln. That would absolutely suck. Here, I'll show you. I also have a advancer kiln shelf in the bottom. I think she's gonna be okay. I think she's gonna be okay. And honestly, this is on camera, so if I'm wrong, I truly do have video evidence of it being my fault. I'm gonna fire this to cone 6, which is around 2200 degrees, and I'm gonna do a 15-minute hold at the top so that things can drip a little bit more, and then a slow cool. So fingers crossed. I'm so excited to see it, and I will see you guys literally in just the next clip for you, and you're gonna see me either very happy or very upset. Good morning, everyone. I am so excited to open the kiln. I'm also a little bit nervous. It is 13 degrees outside. Just to set the scene a little bit, I am in my garage studio, so you know it's not really that insulated. However, since the kiln was going, it's pretty warm in here, and I kind of rely on that in the winter, and I also have a little heater. So those two things are absolutely saving my life right now, because I mean, what else am I going to do but work in the studio? Obviously, it is my job, so we can't not. But it's real nice when the freezing cold water that, you know, it's nice that it's not always freezing cold. So I'm procrastinating. Can you tell? Maybe a little bit? Oh my God. Okay, so it did fall over. Dude! No! I just threw my gloves on the counter and I broke the handle of one of my mugs. That's so good. It's okay. Well, you all know where that went, right in the reclaim bucket, and you know, at least we can save it, but damn, like, I'm grateful that a lot of things survive, and for a lot of things, I'm grateful for so many things, but that was unnecessary. That was an unnecessary breakage because of my carelessness. I shouldn't have just thrown things around. The reason why I'm still using these gloves is because this is still very, very hot. I think the kiln's only like 135 degrees, but this still is retaining a lot of heat. I really like how this stripped. I really liked how the gills go into it. You can kind of see like the lines underneath. I like the separation that's happening. Yeah, I really like this section. This is really cool. The bubble glaze did not really appear on the bottom, I think just because there was too many other glazes and it was dripping a lot. And there's a little crack on the bottom. I can fill that with gold and grind it. So she survived! Woohoo! She survived. I love her. I love it. There's the crack. And yes, I am wearing sweatpants. I really never don't wear sweatpants if I'm only working in my garage. So, you know, if you don't look like this most of the time anyways, I don't know if I trust you. A diamond bat. So essential in finishing any piece, whether it's a cup or a sculptural piece. There's always going to be snags on the bottom, and no one wants to scratch their table. So always grind your bottoms. I'm gonna take some sun curing resin and this Pearl X powdered pigment in sparkled gold, to kind of create that kintsugi technique. It's a Japanese technique of filling broken cracks in pottery with powdered gold. I love the technique, not only because it's creative and it's beautiful, but also because I feel like it takes the broken parts of us and highlights them as also the most beautiful parts of us. So I always like to fill things like that, but I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work and how it's going to look on this. Something that I think people don't think about that often when thinking about finishing pottery is like, oh, once it's out of the kiln, it's completely done and it's finished and it's perfect and beautiful every single time. Certainly not the case. I mean, I have had absolutely no pieces that were completely done straight out of the kiln. If anything, you at least grind the bottom, but there's usually so many more things you can do to it after that. So hopefully we can elevate this piece a little bit more. I do not want to finish this commission not being completely proud of it, and I'm worried about that. I'm worried about that because I've worked on this one for so long and I can't, I'm running out of time, so it really does have to be the one. And so I really want to work on getting this there and getting this to a place that I'm truly proud of. And don't get me wrong, I am proud of it in sections, but I also think that there's things that just could be better. The place in which we used the powdered gold and the sun-curing resin looks great. It doesn't look as great as I wanted to on the edges of those things because I did get a little bit carried away and my too much gene just wanted to keep going. So, you know, we are gonna go in with our little Mako gold, hell gold, bronzy gold. I'm gonna lower that temperature and that's not gonna affect the glazes at all. So hopefully that will make this gold feel like more gold. And I don't think the resin will be affected because of how not hot I'm gonna fire it to. I think I'm gonna go down to like 019 if I can, which is honestly like as hot as a dishwasher. Almost. We're not gonna pop this in the dishwasher, but you get the point. After looking at it, especially in the light, it really is nice. I like it a lot. How I can alter it just a little bit to be a little bit more cohesive. It's good not to give up on something, but it's also good to like realize that beauty is in the eye of the beholder and just move on, like take the learnings from this thing and just move on to the next one, you know, instead of like feeling like you're pushing a wet rope, you know, like know when to quit. But we're gonna do a few more things and then I'll quit, I promise. We're seeing a lot more of that gold. So if you're gonna use that Hell Gold by Mako, focus. You see how much more gold that is? Okay, I'm really happy about how gold that is. I'm still unsure about how green this is, so we're still going to see what we can do about that. right, everyone, so the mushroom is done. At first, you know, you were there, I was real iffy on it. The gold helped a lot. I experimented with the sun curing resin with the powdered gold, some spray paint, and then the Hell Gold by Mako. So there's a lot of gold on this thing, and I think that saved it. Now that I put it out in nature, and it's, you know, it's December and it's kind of, everything's really gray, and this is so lively, and it kind of has that bright glossy magic that sometimes real mushrooms, you know, in bloom have. So I ended up really liking it, and I am proud of it. I learned so much from this process. One of them being that if I'm going to make something as a commission or something really important in general, I need to make multiple of them so that I can experiment and things can go wrong and I won't be so anxious if something fails. So if you're an artist or a craftsman yourself and you have something important, maybe do some extra and have some experiments. So thanks so much for coming along with me on this fun journey. I'm so excited to make more mushrooms. I'm gonna do another video very soon. I'm actually already working on it where I'm making different kinds of mushrooms. So subscribe if you'd like to see more videos or the next one like this. It would be so fun to have you along for that. Thanks for coming along for this one. And please remember to keep experimenting, keep creating, and finding joy in the process. Art is so important, and so are you, my friend. I almost knocked it over. All right, we're done. Goodbye, guys.